This will be section 9 and 10 combined. Question number 1 for combustion safety testing. Can it discuss one common condition that can adversely affect baseline pressure differential measurement? Well, one of the things that can affect the baseline pressure differential measurement: wind, moisture at the end of the hose, pinched hose, or some type of homeowner action. Question number 2, can it discuss one common corrective action that could stabilize a baseline pressure measurement under adverse conditions? You can use time averaging, which would be on your manometer. You can check the hose to ensure that it's not pinched or that it doesn't have any kind of fluid or water in the end of it. And you can end up making sure that the homeowner stays still or stays out of the home while you're conducting this test. Item number 3 on combustion safety testing says, can it identify the specific location and boundaries of the primary CAS and any secondary combustion appliance zones? Well, this is the water heater, and what the CAS is the combustion appliance zone, the area that the combustion appliance is located in. In this particular case, it's everywhere from this door in the basement inward. From this point on, we'll be using the BPI Combustion Appliance Safety Inspection for Vented Appliances guide. Your proctor will allow you to have a copy of this while you're conducting your test. We have to set the house up and get ready to perform the combustion appliance zone safety test. Item number 1 on our guide tells us, place all combustion appliances located within the CAS in their standby mode and prepare for operation. We did that while we were downstairs. The furnace is off, it's an electric heat pump, and the water heater is in the pilot position. Fires in wood stoves and or fireplaces must be fully extinguished with no hot coals or embers. We have none, except for in the living room. We're upstairs now. So we do have a fireplace. It says closed fireplace dampers and any fireplace doors. Check this out. Use flashlight on my phone. And it indicates we're in the closed position. Close all building exterior doors and windows. Exterior door. Exterior door. These windows are all closed. Windows in the kitchen are all closed. Exterior door to the garage is closed. These windows are all closed. Windows in the dining room. Windows in the foyer. Bedroom windows closed. Bedroom windows closed. Close the interior doors of all rooms except for rooms with an exhaust fan and rooms with a central forced air system return. Leave outdoor openings for combustion air open. Return. Exhaust fan. Return. Return. Exhaust fan. Return. No return. Exhaust fan. And no return, but an exhausting device. No return or exhaust fan. No return or exhaust fan in these basement rooms. The CAS door shall be closed. Using a calibrated manometer or similar pressure measuring device intended for this purpose, measure and record the baseline pressure in the CAS with reference to the outdoors. We had to run a tube to the outdoors. We did this earlier. It's connected to our micromanometer. And at this point, we are reading a positive 0.3, positive 1. It appears as if we've got a slight wind outdoors. So I will set the baseline averaging to 30 seconds. That's a 30-second average, so we should get a fairly accurate number. And a positive 0.5 or 0.6, positive 0.6. We're back upstairs, and now it says item number 6, turn on the following exhaust equipment. Clothes dryer, check and clean the dryer filter, and look for blockage at the external vent damper prior to operation. Filter is clean. We just need air dry. Range hoods and other exhaust fans. Exhaust fan is on. The orange light is on. This particular house, these two bathrooms, you have to turn the fan off, on, off, and on again. And you'll get an indication that it's operating by seeing the orange light. And finally, the third bathroom, it's just a standard on-off switch. It's on the Jack and Jill side of the house. And our range hood does not terminate to the outdoors. It's simply a recirculator. Since there's no soffit with a vent that can go out, and if it exhausted, it would be exhausting in the dining room, we don't worry about turning it on. We're back down in the CAS, and we're taking a look at our micromanometer. And previously it was a positive 0.6, and now it's a negative 2.4. Now our guide says turn on central forced air system blowers and measure and record the pressure in the CAS with reference to outdoors. I have the app on my phone. As a proctor, you can ask me, will you turn on or off the air handler or furnace? I am, and did. And I heard it just come on. And now we're going to check again. And it looks like it made it more negative because it went from a negative 2.4 to negative 2.8. So we would then leave it on according to our guide. It says if the pressure in the CAS becomes more negative with reference to outdoors after the blower is turned on, leave the blower on during the combustion safety test. We did. Now, or it did, and we will. Now it says open interior doors directly leading to the CAS. Measure and record the pressure in the CAS with reference to outdoors. So we're going to the door, we're opening the door, and we're going back to our manometer and seeing if it made the pressure more negative or less negative. And it actually dropped it down to negative 2.4, negative 2.5, which is not a drastic difference, but it is less negative, so we will close the door. Now we have the home set up. We're prepared to perform our test on our combustion appliance. On the back side of the sheet that you're using, it says spillage assessment and CO measurement. And as you'll notice, it says in code vent except domestic water heaters. In our particular case, we have a domestic water heater. So we're going to use that guide. I'm going to turn this on me. And it says assess spillage. Warm vent pertains to an appliance for which the heat setting is turned to on. Assess spillage at 2 minutes of main burner operation. So I'm going to set my timer. You can ask me as the proctor to set the timer. I will do so. I'm going to set it for 2 minutes. I'm going to take a mirror I'm going to turn the water heater on. just heard it. Start my timer. And I'm going to go 360 degrees around the draft hood. And we are fogging, which tells me we're spilling, but we have 2 minutes within which to stop spilling. Still spilling. Again, 360 degrees around. That may mean you have to come around to this side. We're still spilling. Still spilling. It's been 1 minute. It looks like bring the camera in closer so you can see exactly where the spillage is. See it fogging up the mirror. And it looks like our spillage has stopped. That's the 2-minute window. According to our guide, action levels for spillage occurring at 2 minutes of main burner operation. Well, it quit spilling, but if it had not, I would refer to the action tables in this particular guide. The next, it says that I need to measure CO in undiluted flue gas at 5 minutes of main burner operation. Well, since I've already been running for 2, I'm going to set it at 3 minutes, and I'm going to hit the timer. I'll take my combustion analyzer. I'm going to insert it into this pre-drilled hole in the draft hood. As you'll notice, there are 2 sides. Here's the baffle. Right here's the baffle. I'm going to put it in one side, and I'm going to measure. And CO air free is what I'm measuring. I'm going to allow everything to stabilize. We'll see our oxygen levels, O2 levels start to stabilize. Our stack temperature continue to rise, but it'll rise a lot more slowly. Excess air, once it starts to stabilize and our O2 level stabilize and our temperature stabilize, then we know we've got a pretty significant, good reading. That is a steady state reading. And it looks like, except for our stack temperature, most everything else has stabilized. We're at 1.5 minutes, so that's 3.5 minutes of operation. We're at 47 parts per million CO air free. I'm going to move this combustion analyzer wand over to the other side. And if you can notice, I'm going down into the throat. That's undiluted. And we saw some more movement over here. I'm going to allow it to stabilize. And we're at 49 parts per million. .49 parts per million. Make sure that the end of the combustion analyzer is all the way into the beyond the throat, and you have two different sides. There's our 3-minute mark, which was 5 minutes of operation. And if we look at our guide, it tells us what our action levels are for CO. And in this particular case, it is a water heater. And a water heater is 200 parts per million, CO air free. And we were below 200 parts per million. Now we're going to put everything back in their standby mode. In this particular case, the water heater goes back to pilot or off position. And we no longer need the manometer. So we'll turn it off, unplug it, and bring it with us. And we're going to be testing the oven. So we're going to need our combustion analyzer, so we'll bring it with us. We're back upstairs. Now we'll shut the dryer off. Bathroom exhaust fan off. One item I want to make you fully aware of: during a combustion safety test, you should be monitoring your carbon monoxide detector every time you go down to the water heater. The video camera didn't pick me up, but I wear mine on the shirt or on a pocket on the shirt, and I constantly look at it every time I walk down by the water heater. So that's a reminder for you every time, because it says continuously monitored CO, ambient CO in the combustion appliance zone. So item number 15 on our combustion safety testing says, candidate discussed the proper protocol for testing multiple combustion appliances sharing a chimney and or venting system in accordance with ANSI BPI 1200. Now, if you will just reference this sheet, it says specifically how to do testing on multiple appliances that share a chimney. On carbon monoxide testing or CO testing, item number 1, it says, candidate discussed 3 potential sources, potential CO sources in the home. One would be cars, attached garages, candles, cigarettes, generators, lawnmowers, other small gas appliances, water heaters, furnaces. Those are a number of them. Item number 2, we did while we were conducting the combustion safety test. It says candidate measured CO in the flue gases of one combustion appliance. We did that. It was for the water heater. Item number 3 says candidate identified appropriate flue gas CO action levels of one combustion appliance based on ANSI BPI 1200. Well, again, we have our sheet, and at the bottom of it, it spells out specifically what the action levels are. For a water heater, it's 200 parts per million, CO air free. We were never above 50 to 51. Item number 4, this is a gated item, and this is what I spoke about earlier. Candidate monitored ambient CO levels in the CAS during all combustion safety testing and stated results. If you just look at it and tell me, or verbally say, we're at 0, we're at 0, we're at 1, whatever the number is. Because again, if we look at our sheet, it will tell us what our action levels are. And in our particular case, 9 to 35, well, we were under 9, so we had no action levels that were required. Item number 5, candidate discussed a procedure for measuring flue gas and CO in direct vented and power vented appliances. So in order to measure in power vented or direct vented, and you'll see these on 90% efficient furnaces oftentimes, you'll just go outside and stick the combustion analyzer directly in the outlet of the flue pipe. That's how you measure. It's sealed, so you can't measure in the undiluted draft because there is no technically undiluted draft, or it's all undiluted. Now we're going to go ahead and do our oven test. Our oven is an electric oven, so it's going to have to be a simulation. And according to BPI, it says, if simulation is needed due to an electric oven, the proctor must state, please conduct the oven test following all procedures as if this was a gas oven. So I'm going to turn this around and we're going to watch what steps are necessary for a gas oven. And as you can see, we have an electric oven. We have our combustible gas leak detector. All right, take that lie back. Our combustion analyzer. And our combustion analyzer, it says, candidate checked inside the oven for items, can identify it or discuss concerns with excessive debris. Nothing in the oven, nothing in the drawer. If it were dirty, now we're going to cover our oven testing. We have an electric oven. So according to BPI, it says simulation instructions for electric oven. If simulation is needed due to an electric oven, the proctor must state, please conduct the oven CO test following all procedures as if this was a gas oven. So, it says candidate checked inside the oven for items. No items in the oven. It's cleared out. The oven drawer is cleared out. And then it says candidate identified or discussed concerns with excessive debris inside the oven. If it's got excessive debris inside the oven, it could catch fire when we turn it on. It cause all kinds of issues. Start smoking the place up. Then it says candidate, turn the oven on. So we're going to turn the oven on. We're not. We would turn it on to 500 degrees. We would not turn it on self-cleaning. Just 500 degrees. And you can, it says within 5 minutes or at the 5 minute or steady state point, we end up measuring for carbon monoxide. But generally, on most ovens, you'll have an exhaust right here in the back. And that exhaust is where we'll end up putting our probe, inserting our probe. If you allow it to run for 5 minutes, it's reached a steady state. You can turn it on prior to 5 minutes and observe what the CO readings are. You're going to see initially, most ovens will spike to a high CO level initially, and then they'll start stabilizing. And that's why BPI makes a recommendation that we end up allowing the oven to run for 5 minutes. I know a lot of people don't want a 5-minute oven at 500 degrees on a summer day, but for our test purposes, that's what we're going to discuss, or that's how we're going to discuss it. And then finally, it says, can I identify the action levels for the CO test results in the oven in accordance with ANSI BPI 1200. Well, ANSI BPI 1200 says oven or broiler, 225 parts per million as measured. Again, everything you need is right here.